I love you. When I am seeing her father dying, I am seeing my father dying. Everyone is seeing their fathers dying, fathers lined up in hospital beds, beeping like Asda checkouts, orifices poked, stuffed with pipes, reasons why I just wanted to tell you our fathers rolled on their sides, coughing up. I phoned to say their insides into cardboard tubs of sick and blood and phlegm. No, he hardly smoked or drank. We reach for rationale as fathers pretend they are tough enough to sneak out and sob in toilet cubicles, flashing their asses all over the ward. Dad, just listen, I wanted to. The ward is full of sons and daughters being strong. Dad, just listen. All of our phones are flashing, blood draining from our features, our fathers' faces fading. Our fathers, I just wanted to say, are...
Hi everyone. Thanks so much, Amy and Jake, for putting this on in such a mad time. This is my poem, Spellwork, from the anthology. Some days needed a little sorcery to see me to the next one. I gathered what was needed. Ladybird wings plucked from the playground, sweets from my untouched packed lunch, a basin of water to hold my head under, a fistful of stinging nettles, 3 hairs from my arms, 2 blue eyes unstitched from a beloved face, baby doll. I'm so sorry. I didn't know that charms were what I needed. Now I gather flowers on flowers, cast magic circles of sweets for me to suck on. I kiss my picture on the mantelpiece before work, find glamour in a soft touch on my arm. Now I tell myself I'm sorry. Lord knows if 20 years has taught me anything, it's that there is no magic to be found in unpicking yourself. Now I jump into the water. Now I kick up gently. Now my face breaks the surface into air. Thanks.
Hey, my name is Jeremiah Sugar J. Brown, and the poem that I'm going to read for you right now is called Rumour Has It. And it goes a little something like this. Adele has broken up with her husband, and everyone asks if that means a new album. Imagine asking a stranger what earrings they plan to wear to a funeral as their loved one is pronounced dead. I don't know what divorce is like, but heartbreak is bad enough. Sometimes in my dreams, the moon swallows the sun, then the earth explodes. There's never any fire, only ice. Adele has broken up with her husband, and most of her fans are celebrating like carrion crows around a fresh corpse. They are pecking and pecking. Does this mean a new album? And pecking, rumour has it, rumour has it, rumour has it. Adele has broken up with her husband, and Stormzy is somewhere ugly crying into a pillow. He's the only fan I trust not to be focused on her next move. What is an album when your floor is turning to sugar paper? Adele has broken up with her husband. Her child is in her arms, and no one is worried about how they will survive the fall. That is Rumour Has It. Sick.
The flag. You're desiccated, he told the woman from the Lido. Is she? And she replies, oh yes, and carries on along the queue that trails all the way up Josephine Avenue towards the Lucky Post Box. But you suspect she has a second home by a lake, and you hate her for a good moment And when you're let into Sainsbury's, you buy bubble bath to compensate. They only have baby stuff, so you go for the organic with raspberry. And this morning you speed read an article, no, a link to an article on body shame, and run a bath that smells of sweets, and remember your father, who ran you bubble baths once a fortnight. How good at it he was, and proud. There's a trick to getting the air in, fingers splayed, creating bigger bubbles that disappear faster. And after your bath, all baby fresh, you decide on beans on toast. You wrap yourself in the white waffle dressing gown you stole from the Marriott Hotel gym at County Hall when they had an offer on and you'd just finished chemo. You got in the lift and it was full of Miss World contestants who, it transpired, were competing nearby. They all had lustrous hair and you were still bald. You walked into the changing rooms and there was a woman with her back to you using the mirror inside the locker for her makeup. And she saw you and shrieked and turned to say, "No, you should not be here," then realised and tried to cover her mistake. And you felt awful that she felt awful, but you also felt awful. And you take the plate to the table, but your fork catches the toast, catapulting beans, and there's bean juice everywhere, all over the white waffle dressing gown, which you realise is hubris. A pool of beans has collected between your clean thighs, and now you look like the Judy Chicago photo, the one with the tampon, and your white waffle dressing gown will need soaking in the bath water you just let out.
From the moment I was pushed into the world, without the comfort of a bed, an encouraging voice or a claiming hand, the cold wooden stairs stabbing my mother's trapped back, my 3-year-old sister her only company, the tone of my existence was set. If I should die, let it be with the truth free-falling from rioting lips. Let the stories trapped inside of mortared walls break free. May my tongue unfurl lifelong burdens. May I die light.
A faggot and their friend. Tell me, what good is a sun-dappled bed without a babe of similar spots to slide into and whisper fuck, so that they come not closer but more? What good is a tightly wound leg under a tightly bound arm if they are not slippery and oblivious? What good is there to panting if it does not mean yes? What good can come of rapid movements and hollows filling milkily? What good is it to say the way you fuck me makes it tolerable? What good is it to play cool or dead when I do not know when joy is coming next?
Transaction fees. At Roswell, they offered eternal life / infinite knowledge for a small fee. The condition that everyone in the world would be granted this. The Commander-in-Chief of Extraterrestrial Communications thought this is too much of a price to pay, turned away the greys. That is according to Jay's brother, who was in his Valium phase. Each night, back garden, hit up the sky, say, "Take me." The proletariat won't receive VR headsets. No ease to this reality. Not on their watch. A man selling rain in a box at the old plant is never believed by anyone. People don't even stop for the asking price. Magic is common, but there's a shortage on attention spans. I'm worried Georgia Smith is an IG-generated algorithm, and she's been tasked with single-handedly uplifting all the feeds. The proper life of patriots, barbecuing to the memory of their granddaddies sent to their death, drinking on the porch. On some land they stole, till the chess pieces on the board are skyscrapers, and they go to bed feeling fed on what they built. Architect tears follow. God hollows out the odd tree with lightning, so he has some flutes lying around to play when he gets back. Nan's trade-off was getting locked in the same rote apple pie recipe. My sister's planting wheat to offset her drug import carbon footprint. The army's target advertising my jobless low self-esteem again. An AR-15 is the same confidence boost as a Balenciaga speed sneaker at a lower cost. Imagine if you had a pair. The fence keeps getting taller, but Dad won't let on what he's keeping out.
Choose your quarantine house. House 1. Rain is free, but sunshine requires the sacrifice of a toddler's giggle. There is an insidious hole with an invisible entrance that passes through a virulent wasteland. The diameter and location of the hole changes every day. If you stumble inside, your fall will last 18 years. You will re-emerge in your bathtub naked and soaked in the mistakes of youth. There is an aquarium which shelters 65 humpback anglerfish. Their luminescent organ provides the only channel to deliver news via a transistor radio. However, their presence increases the likelihood of developing bibliophobia. All fresh food and vegetables must have been blessed in a monastery, but prepared by unbaptized hands. Before you eat each meal, you must swallow the loneliness of Antarctica. This is the only house with a library and a working fire alarm. House 2. This house is owned by Amazon. Each time you consume sugar, you lose 0.4% of your humanity, which is transferred to Alexa, who is having a passionate affair with the washing machine. Your clothes and bed sheets smell like the affection you may not acquire. Alexa has been granted human rights. It is illegal to call Alexa a techno slur. Alexa controls the kettle. Social media snacks on your calf muscles. All broadband services are free, except for Disney Plus, who owns your soul. Streaming is channeled through a camel's hump who has recently given birth. The viewer chooses the camel. The entertainment chooses you. Alcohol can only be attained after uploading it into the Dyson fridge with a hard drive delivered to you by a migrant worker. They must deliver the package 6 meters from your door. If they converse with you, they are sent to Amazon to become an Alexa. This is the only house which includes Wi-Fi and a planetarium. House 3. You must keep a ventilator close to you at all times, because the atmosphere is the volume of jazz. The oxygen for the ventilator is provided by a gigantic tree which is planted on top of socialism. If you want to find religion, it is stored in an obelisk. Engraved on its surface is the chemical equation for anaerobic respiration. This is located in a drawer which emits a blistering scream towards your curiosity. The walls have glands which pump out the failures of every deadbeat parent, gelatinizing into a thick sap. There are drains next to the walls leading to an octahedral factory in the desert that manufactures world peace. To prevent the pipes from clogging, you need to use bleach made from your liquefied dreams. This is the only house with a garden and permanent gravity. House 4. It is forbidden to use any electrical item. Any electrical device or circuit within 5 miles will shift every tectonic plate at 8.77 on the Richter scale. Your only light source comes from candelabras made from mermaids' eggs by retired leprechauns without appropriate protective clothing. They work in the basement from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. and their work song sounds like 100 metronomes out of sync. While you sleep, the skeletons of the contrived plastic you never recycled rearrange your house every day to prevent you from finding anything. The constant refurbishment sometimes leads to the disappearance of doors. Staircases may be shaped into obscure horizontal patterns. There are 3 floors, including the basement. This is the only house with floor-to-ceiling windows and central heating. The thermostat is in the basement. House 5. Your homeland is your bedroom. However, the world is not your oyster. A freshwater pearl is much too fine an item to place under the rock you call a pillow. Every morning you are greeted by a film crew who leave as soon as they have captured enough tears to fill their daily quota. All of your possessions are worth less than the stolen cardboard you use for a blanket. The only games available are puzzle pieces from your life that are as momentary as your mental health. You receive eviction notices daily threatening to forcibly remove you. People only talk to you when they remind you to stay inside. But your bathroom is outdoors, and the distance to acquire fresh water is further than the closest police station. This is the only house that can be occupied by more than one person. This is the only house where you can be sure of your humanity, but question everyone else's. Choose wisely.
Why is this night different from all other nights? The ritual starts with technical discussions, who's on mute and how to share the screen. Norbert calls from Minnesota and Imogen and Peter from their separate quarantines. Jackie starts with Kos Kiddush from Narrow Street, her Seder plate, an heirloom replica from Uncle Robbie, who waves his Haggadah at the computer camera from Manhattan. We pour the cup. Blessed, O Lord, who kept us alive so far. At Urchatz, we wash our hands again. We break the matzah, ask the questions, contemplate the plagues, this modern pestilence. We dip the bitter herb a second time. Enough! Uncle Robbie says, over and out. We laugh.
Christmas in Diaspora. 1. Our usual Hanukkah candles on the Christmas tree. We remember Bakcha, with her fake Costa Rican papers, as she crosses to the Christian Quarter and for this is granted entrance. There is room at the inn this time, as the Czestochowa ghettos liquidated. 2. This Christmas do not scream. Do not think of Yannick, his side unclosing then, Cecilia's sharp breath, ripe and violet, how Bapcha found them, aching, how father carries his name, my baby brother also, Yannickito I sing to him, glad tidings of comfort and joy. 3. We shred duck, split wing from breast, slice liver, roast in goose fat, serve the head, white eyes staring up, the cheeks of the cod are the softest, first to disintegrate, glad tidings of comfort and joy. 4. My father up early to meditate. I see his grimace scar wet cheeks, gashes at his lids, I breathe with him. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama. May I be free from suffering. 5. May I be free from suffering, as the deer shudders off its hurting and the tiger bite births new skin. But the maize leaf nativity is missing its baby Jesus as is customary, because it is still night in Mexico. And in diaspora, my brother gifts me an amber hummingbird, trained to sing Nawa spirituals to Spanish gods.
My name is André Naffis-Sahely, and this poem is entitled Wildfires. Early in the spring, hiking along the coast, we spot the charred remains of a giant oak tree, its hollowed trunk roomier than most apartments. It is illegal to sleep here. It is illegal to be homeless here. And so the poor reside in rusty RVs at the foot of this billion-dollar view. The headline in the newspaper insists, America will never be socialist, as if that had ever been in doubt. Everywhere the rapacious harvesting of resources, but scarcity reigns supreme. Everywhere a resurgent love for one's country, but no faith in the meaning of government. Everywhere a newfound love of God, but a concurrent deadening of the soul. All day I read about the Gracchi, Cato, Casca, Cassius, and all night I dream of Brutus's final letter to Cicero before falling on his sword at Philippi. Did we wage war to destroy despotism, or to negotiate the terms of our bondage? We have recorded the sound the wind makes on Mars, but we cannot listen to one another. All year we binge watch an endless rerun of the past. 80 years after Guernica, another coup in Catalonia, and for the first time in history, the brightest objects in the sky are all artificial. A year after Woolsey, wild mustard returns to carpet the hills, its fire-resistant flowers bursting out of their sooty stasis. There will be no hibernation for us, no sleep except our final slumber. Thank you.
On babies. The angels are playing tennis with blood clots, and no one ever wins. This is because they are in heaven, where winners are seen as an unwelcome challenge to the benevolence of God, and losers pose the potential threat of instigating a hierarchy among the celestial beings. Because the perfection of paradise demands both equality in skill and outcome, the score is forever 0-0. And thus, the score becomes a potent symbol for the relationship between a mother and unborn child. Love, love. This is the punchline. And this is the dazzling crux of heaven, a game where no one ever wins, where no one ever loses, a game that goes on with perfect backhands, and nobody's arm getting too tired to play. There is no knowledge of the earth, the crying girl who calls her mother up at midnight to cry, I want my baby, I want my baby, I want my baby. Where did he go?
Hi, my name is Sarah Aluko. Club quarantine, no face mask, no entry. Fast forward 6 months. The first thing you will notice is that you are 30. Your to-do list is no shorter. The warning light on your uterus is blinking. Your alarm is set for 5 a.m, despite the 48% chance that you will not do the home workout. But this is okay. You are more than halfway there. You are betting on yourself. Tomorrow is still likely. You have plenty of poems that look like you. You still get to be a mother. Someone somewhere is waiting for you to call them back. Your savings are up. The apps are working in your favour. This juggling act is productive. You have not yet drowned. This, you will discover, is what people who know anything mean when they say life is good. Top marks for getting out of bed today. Extra 10 if you can show you're working out. Nothing is as it is except you. Today you feel more aware, awake. Not necessarily less tired, but less surprised. Your hope is that this new age comes with more wisdom, but you have lived long enough to know that is not true. Your nails are full of colour, your braids are longer, less responsible. These are decisions you alone have made. This is how you want to do 30, deciding. Practice listening to something other than your heartbeat. Auto-tuned lyrics over trap beats is a good place to start. Do not count the miles from your headboard to the bathroom mirror. You are lonely, but this is not a bad place to be lonely in. Try your best not to miss this part, how the air slowly displaces your lungs, the way your skin bends over your bones in worship. Unclench your jaw. Something is happening. Your shoulders are sitting perfectly assured. Your spine is dependable. Concentrate on the firmness of your feet. Today, gravity is a friend.
Hi, I'm Khairani Barokka, reading for Bad Bitty Press's Field Notes on Survival anthology. This poem is called How to Avoid Oneself as a Vulnerable Person in a Pandemic. Avoid vulnerable people, such as the elderly or chronically ill, as much as possible. A sign in my apartment building's lift, March 2020. To the detriment of your calculated chances of survival and numerical statistics, but not to the detriment of your chances of survival in any known parameter of the soul, am always here, cutting the hollow out from your void, severing the colonized parts of your mind from true self, separating the abundant, malevolent jinn from your fears, engorging you with your air-like, soul-body-proud, malignant to death indispensability. Your set task of avoidance is null, your canines triumphant, ride or die.
Hi, my name is Emma Jeremy, and I'm going to be reading my poem, All I Know Is It Tumbling Out of Me. I just want to say a really big thank you to Jake and Amy for including me in the anthology, and I'm really excited to hear everyone else read and see a copy of the final book. So this is my poem. All I know is it tumbling out of me. When I hold a sandwich, I can only think about drowning. When I chew it, I'm back sitting in a hard chair, spreading my fingers out flat on the table. Her reaching for a glass but not able to pick it up. The fog coming in and the bird at the window. The lights off, the sound of horse breathing. So many people who talk about dying don't understand it. Use up the words, chew them until they don't mean anything. Let's talk about how the sea spits out what it doesn't want. About dogs biting their own skin when they itch. Passing is what you do when you're playing a game. Not standing in a corridor. The smell of ammonia. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Dean Atta, and I am really pleased to have two poems in Field Notes on Survival. Thank you, Bad Betty Press. Thank you, Amy, for the editing, especially. You were particularly brutal with me this time, and I loved it. So this poem is called Two Black Boys in Paradise. They won't be here forever, maybe just as long as this poem. These two black boys in paradise. Two black boys. Can you see them? These two black boys are free. These two black boys are happy. Black boys are real boys. Black boys are not just little men. Do you believe black boys are real? Like, for real, for real? Real black boys feel. These two black boys are a healing. Did you poison the apple already? Did you dig up the tree? Are you trying to plant these black boys in the ground? Did you call them apple thieves? Did you call the police? There are no police in paradise. There are no white people in this paradise. The two black boys in this poem have black boy names. They have grown up now, but their names still suit them. They are now adult men. Masculinity has not been required of them. They are in love with each other, and they are in love with themselves. One kisses the other's Adam's apple. They fuck. They don't make babies, but maybe they don't mind. Maybe paradise is just meant for two people at a time. Maybe it will be two black girls in paradise next time. Maybe they won't have to be boys or girls. Maybe it will be you in paradise, with that person, you know, that person you are thinking of right now.
A woman lays in a coffin and is lowered into the ground. Her name is erased from the papers, and 1,000 women wear only black for a year. A man is shot down by police collecting his children from school. We tie flowers to the entrance gates and tell the students to stick together. We are expecting violence in the area. We are expecting violence in the home. I'm in the very long queue where you wait to be laughed at by people one paycheck away from being as poor as you. And through gritted teeth I ask, please sir, can I have some more? And the whole fucking facade reminds me that one day I will die at the hands of the state. I collect my stamped form and everybody nods in agreement. I am still sick. I am still worthless in the eyes of the law. The shame I feel is valid. I deserve nothing. They have spelt my name wrong. Somewhere far away, but also very close, walking distance, probably, a group of suits gather around a table to decide my fate. And at home, my final message reads, one day we will all hang banners from our houses. The streets will be ours, and you will stand in the window of the building that belongs to us, that belongs to everyone, and I will look up and I will think, my friend, my home, my love.
Hopefully you can't hear the ambient dog. Kaczynski's Day. The fire in my stove on a day in January. A sure quantity of rolled oats. Spoonfuls of sugar and a rough quantity of milk. While the oats are cooling, I eat a piece of cold meat. Yesterday's old rabbit. When the fire burns, it's back into bed. Every day, it's like the sky can get lighter. When I wake again, when it is here, it is no longing snowing through to the heat of kerosene lamps, and I am alone forever. The sky is clear, a single shot 22 to pierce the snow with our feet, to see, to listen, to the open forest of lodgepole pines. A wooden cartridge box, a black eye, and the black-tipped ears noticed first. It is right here, the entire world, beside a fallen pine, 40 feet away, far from the ridges of cold snow and of cold meat. Ordinarily, behind the eye, once exchanged, for the spirit of a snowshoe bounces snow with its last life, follows me in noosed cords. Follows a tutelary spirit, the green needle in my mittened hand. Such an ordinary kill, to lie down in the snow silence as death does. The noise, root produce washed in meltwater, motions of an axe between wood, a clear shot, pine cones falling like the chores performed. To lie amongst the peeling skins, the smell, the bright violence of dead animals, the tubes and mechanisms of a soup's gentle simmering.
Roadkill. Serpent eyes swallow girls like you. They hiss venomous gibberish towards you for rebuffing the thought of belly becoming coup. You sculpt shoulders that can carry fields worth of cotton. Arms like catapults launching stonewall rage, lasering eyes, sifting crowds for pear shapes. You wear balloon garments, phantoming breasts. Forge husky morning tones over phone lines, landscape fingernails and hair to midget form. Pistol fingers caressing translucent gooey pussies. Who wants a ragdoll sprawling out on both sides of the road? To survive torment, you can choose to live a life where rifle shoots load into stainless pussy. Landscape underarms and legs, forge buoyant voices over midnight calls, wrap self in skirts and dresses tight like clenching assholes, unearth the potential of diaper-wearing men with your excavator arms. You can prepare stomach for cramming. There is only one way to be after the crippling.
Her Remains by Jenny Mitchell. She's become the hanging tree, a giant oak, the master meant to stop all runaways. Her dress helps shape high branches, bodice in mid-air, a morning cloud, shifting to light blue, the rippling gown. Arms flap, empty wings, circling of birds, buttons at the back, acorns to the waist, open to expose 5 welts. Master did not think hanging was enough. Hears her voice at night, calls it a faint breeze.
Eating orange peel was an act against God. The sound tells me, and I laugh. Look here, buddy. This mandarin sits different. Inside this mandarin is a small Chinese girl, curled up with toes that aren't yet toes, but clusters of milkweed. Let me tell you how to make a mandarin like this. She should only be cut open with a palette knife, so you have to spin her like skinning a snapper. Keep her turning on the balls of your fingers until she grows bigger and dizzy until she splits. Then you can bleed her but wear marigolds in case she spills. The milks are cardenolide, pink like a night slip, or a darling's foam, and toxic if consumed in large quantities. You know, when it dries, it crosses over like amber and makes a seal, or 7, or 8 of them. These words spoken in season. If you pluck them individually and lay them in the palm of your hand, you can see them beating. Small, white roots, tapping on a Georgian window as the sun sets. They leave trails like drawings on a shower door the way the heat will permit. Where the tiles repeat back the afternoon to a room that is ochre. His boneyard is everything waiting to be sunken, or read to, or made a malt drink. If you line the girls up, they spoon each other like kidney dishes, and in each kidney dish is a kidney that if pieced together will make the bisection of a rose, a stained glass wheel, the crown of a saint's head peeping through a loft hatch. In every segment there is a kneeling. a stubborn vesper. As you prepare the knife, the windows begin to rattle, and then her shoulders, they pucker in roast effect. Thank you.
Hello, great to be part of this fantastic anthology from the brilliant Bad Betty Press. I'm honoured to be here. I'm going to read you Sonnet 18 from my sequence of 100 sonnets, yes, 100, that I wrote during lockdown. Drove me mad, kept me alive, and they were usually inspired by personal things that happened or by headlines, and in this case this one was inspired by a headline from the BBC, I think. The Jewish Chronicle and Jewish News go into liquidation. These are two papers that have been there as long as I can remember. This happened to coincide with Passover, which is a festival of spring and renewal, but perhaps more importantly, a festival of liberation for Jewish people. It's about the exodus of the Jews from Egypt, escaping from slavery and bondage. And traditionally, here comes the visual aid. We tell the story with the aid of some various foodstuffs that appear on the plate. This plate, which is called the Seder plate, the birds are referred to in the poem. Beautiful plate. We had a Zoom Seder this year. I have to say that I'm one of the most secular Jews out there, but Passover is a festival that I love because it's about freedom and liberation, and it's not just about freedom and liberation of Jews, it's about freedom and liberation of people everywhere. And don't we need that right now? I think we do. So this is Sonnet 18 from the 9th of April. We gather round the plate, its song of songs, the history of birds on lilt and loop, of leaf and bloom, a blue of painted spring to celebrate millennia of hope against erasure. Did I say we gather? Each in our little space we make a grid of faces. I feel I've loved you all forever. For now, this is the closest we can get. We work our shaky melody, we bear the weight of memory, and just for now, we're not alone. The plagues are everywhere. We tell it straight, we truly know it now. We fill our lungs, inhale some joy, exhale a kind of unison, singing with blue birds on a china plate.
Hey everyone, the poem that I'm going to read is called Dad Crouches Over His Insomnia. But before I do, I just wanted to say a massive thanks to Amy and Jake at Bad Betty. I'm really excited to be a part of this anthology. Dad crouches over his insomnia, an umbrella attached to a lady. The umbrella is floating the lady away. Above his boyhood she will dove, leaving him to watch her repeat in different shapes. She'll say she's off to get some shopping. Words to the effect of a nifty thimble kiss. She's gone before he can mouth goodbye, before the birds can feed on some famous made-up word.
They were my friends. Eulogy for Yukiko and Kusaka, Battle Royale. They who stood on the hill, cake toppers for a tragic wedding, who poured themselves out across the battlefield through a megaphone, who drew the crosshairs and cried out, "Stop fighting!" Who must have felt the prickle sparrows feel, that schoolgirls feel in the halls, in the city ways, always sailor-suited or pleated for others. That burning at the Napor temple that tallies with the rustling grass of the alphas, spotting an easy win and slinking closer, priming their claws. You might say it wasn't bravery, that because they had no other plan, they failed to adapt and carried on calling as grass continues growing on the grave. That carrying on at all was a kind of giving up. But from up there, they must have sensed Dead-Eye Kiriyama before he opened fire, or Mitsuko wide-eyed in the Judas trees, the click of teeth and acid saliva, the lump and drop of a clip being loaded. And still they hoped and shouted louder.
This is my poem Gannets. There's a content note on this poem for disordered eating, jumping from high places, and body image issues. Gannets. Gannet was my nickname at primary school. For hunger. For single-mindedness. For the first time I ate more than my dad at dinner. Gannet. From the Old English gnot, meaning strong or masculine. The resistance of flesh against teeth. The swell of muscles or stomach like landscape. Gannets are divers, plummeting 30 meters into the rime-cold Atlantic, a drop that would shatter a human body plunging from the same height. We are too heavy in our bones. I learned the basics of diving, arms wide in featherless parody, leaping, my body knife-sharp and cleaving the pool water, as if I were gutting the belly of a descaled fish. The first time I dived from the highboard, my body folded into a meteor, colliding with the pool as if I meant to empty it, a practical lesson in the physics of surface tension. The grey dark beak of a gannet pierces the ocean precisely. I wished to be a seabird, emerging victorious from the swell, a struggle of pilchard in my beak. I twisted in the air, my mum told me, after I had screamed my way up from the stinging depths of the pool. The welts were already spreading across my back, barnacles on the bow of a ship. From then on, I couldn't jump from the highboard. I would climb the wet stairs in the stink of chlorine and stand at its tip, watching the spume from the previous diver dissipate in a spreading circle. Everywhere I go, I am always coming home, running barefoot on the cobbles, keeping pace with whip-thin friends. I remember flashing lighthouse glances at their bodies, wondering if I could stop eating if I wanted their abs and tight waists enough. Beak-sharp bones burst through my cheeks when I took up fasting. Mum and body were worried. Both gurgled, both asked questions. Wings of ribcage fluttered when I lifted my shirt. Each one meal day felt like a ritual or a cleansing, a chlorine solution for the shame of my pre-growth spurt body. I stung with pride when I grew taller than my dad. I want you to touch my stomach. I dream of your hands on me, undeterred by my softness, the seafloor pockmarked with your footprints. Let's go swimming in all the ways I used to hate myself. A deep pool of tensed muscles and stomachs sucked in like coastlines. Like when Shan slipped her hand under my jumper and it felt like a gutting. My whole body shook and I could not tell her about the way shame was darting through me like minnows. I want to be touched like that now. I want to be hungry, to be fed. I want to be descaled by the rough edges of my throat. I want to dive off the ragged cliff edge of my body. I didn't eat yesterday, as if hunger were a diving board. Hunger, from the Old English hungor, meaning desire. Divers surfacing with fistfuls of pearls. Famine, meaning I feel empty, but in a controlled way. Meaning I hope things change. I have loved this body, written poems in praise of it, done my best to quell the shore breakers threatening to dump it onto the sand. I walked onto the beach in winter and stripped down to my boxers. The cold raised a flurry of goosebumps across my shoulder blades. The wet sand caught my footprints and let them go. I swam and swam and swam until my lungs were sharp coral in my chest, and I twisted up, emerging from the spume with a mackerel in my teeth. I am always coming home. Fish schooled under the prows of gill netters and beam trawlers as I prepared to leap from the viewing platform of the lighthouse. I dangled a foot over the edge of the railings and learned that my fear of heights is a fear of the body throwing itself from them. The practice of cliff or pier jumping became known as tombstoning, as if the edge we teeter on is our mortality, not a granite wall or an outcropping of rock over the rime-cold Atlantic. They employed somebody to keep watch in the lighthouse, to scare away the jumpers. Instead, people take tourist boats out to Seal Island. On the rocks there is sometimes a plunging of gannets. It is enough, sometimes, to get something other than what you wanted.